This is James here with the Oracle Outlook for the week starting June the 1st, 2020. Thanks so much for tuning in and joining me for this week's video reading. This week I wanted to continue working with Kipper, and I decided I was going to work with the very first Kipper deck I ever got, because I don't believe I've ever worked with it in this space before. So that deck is the Mystical Kipper. It is by Regula Elizabeth Fiechter. The artwork is by Trosch, and is published by AGM. So how I came about this deck is that at the time I was following another YouTuber. Her name is Kelly Fitzgerald of The Truth in Stories. So I'll put a link below to her channel if you want to check her out. But at that time she was working with Kipper, and I was just in my Lenormand vibe and feeling that at the time. And Kelly knew about my work with Lenormand, so she suggested that I check out Kipper. So I remember seeing this particular Kipper deck at a metaphysical bookstore in my area. So once I kind of got the seal of approval, if you will, from Kelly, I got in my car, I went to that store, and I got the deck. So that is how I acquired this particular deck. Even though I don't use it all that much these days, it still holds a special place in my cartomancy journey because it was the very first Kipper deck. So again, I'm working with the Mystical Kipper by Regula Elizabeth Fiechter and Trosch. And now that I've set things up, let's get to the table to see what magic the Kipper, the Mystical Kipper, wants to share about the week ahead. And here we are with the cards on the table, and I'm going to take a few moments to shuffle the deck. And just as I do every week, I'm focusing on the intention of having the cards present us with the information, with any insights, any guidance or advice that is going to be most helpful and beneficial as we move through this upcoming week. Feeling one more time will be good. Alright, and now I'm going to go ahead and cut the deck. Fan the cards out. And now I'm looking for 5 cards in the fan that are getting my attention. I'm continuing to work with a line of 5. So I have the 5 cards selected. I'm going to take the remainder of the deck up. I'm going to move that to one side. Now I'm just going to reposition the cards. Alright, and so when I work with Kipper, I read the cards from left to right. So opening the line up this week, we have Short Illness. Okay, so Short Illness is a card that talks about a timeout, a break, or some kind of rest. Now, given what we're all experiencing, this card with the name illness on it can be, also dealing with health-related issues. So that may be the need for the timeout or for the rest. It may be in connection to a health-related issue, right? And so, of course, the biggest health-related issue that we have going on at the moment is coronavirus. So there may be something in connection to coronavirus that's unfolding this week, right? If it's not about the coronavirus, then, of course, this could just be maybe there's some other type of health-related issue for some of us that may require some rest or some downtime that we may need to adhere to, right? So there is that. Now, what I was also going to say in connection to the coronavirus, of course, this is the continuation of a timeout, I look at this experience as, one big pause button, right? And so for a lot of us, this may be being on pause, right? Taking a time out, right? That kind of thing. and I would say a forced timeout, right? So with people who are this would be about maybe people who are working and who are not working right now for whatever reason they can't be at work. And as I'm saying that, the flip side of this card is also about healing and recovery. It's about a healing and recovery process. So of course, this could also be about recovering from this period of time. And that goes back to, people getting back into work slowly, right? After that forced timeout or that forced break, right? And so, all of that can be being played out, if I can get the words out, being played out in this one card. Now, there's some other aspects of this card. Because this is the only card in the deck that has a bed on it, it can also represent issues related to sex and sexual relations. And I'm only saying that because in last week's reading, we had the family room card appear, and I talked about that representing intimacy in relationships, right? And so if you just heard that, that's my phone in the background, which I thought I turned off once again, and it beeped at that particular moment. So that may be something for some people in terms of relevance or resonance, right? So there may be something having to do with sex and sexual relations that we need to take a look at, or there's something along those lines that we need to maybe engage in some kind of healing process, because I'm hearing the song Sexual Healing in my head. So for someone, that may be a thing, right? But generally speaking, short illness can represent a timeout, a break, a rest, something having to do with health and physical well-being, and the healing and recovery process from whatever those conditions might be. So that is short illness. All right, so now let's take a look at our next card. And here we have Rich Girl. Okay, so Rich Girl is a person card. So first and foremost, she can represent a person who is younger than us, right? So when I say us, I'm talking about the collective us who are all engaged in this video, myself as the one who's filming it right now, and all of you who will be watching it at some point in time, right? So Rich Girl usually represents a woman who is younger than the collective us, right? So if you're a parent, this could be a daughter or a sister, a younger sister or a younger niece, someone along those lines, right? Now, if it's not about a person, because this is one of the people cards in the deck that can also represent something other than a person. So some of the meanings that I have for Rich Girl could represent someone who's creative, someone who is beautiful. This card can also be about joy, right? So it could be, if I take these two cards into combination, because short illness is known as a connector card. So it connects the card on either side of it. So it is connected to Rich Girl, right? So there may be something having to do with a situation that is connected to a younger woman, right? Or if we're talking about the healing and recovery process, then this is about possibly how can we achieve or receive or maybe even rediscover joy, right? Because we've been in this period for so long, it might be that. Now, as I said, this card is also about creativity, so it could be a matter of, despite this is a call for creativity. So how can we be creative with this going on as it is, right? So again, short illness can be a situation in terms of the timeout, the break, or the rest, or even an illness that is connected to a younger woman, right? Or if this is about a forced break, timeout, rest period, how can we get creative within that experience, right? And then the other thing, of course, could be if this is about sex and sexual relations, it may be in connection to a younger woman. Or if we are wanting to engage in some sexual healing, how can we be creative about that, right? So those are what I'm seeing with short illness and Rich Girl. Now, I read with direction in mind, so I notice that Rich Girl is looking to the card in the middle. So this is the heart of the story, or what we're being asked to focus on, maybe with a creative approach, right? Okay, so taking a look at this card, we have I'm sorry, I said marriage, but it's the meetings card, right? Okay, so at the center, here we have, if we mirror the cards, and I understand this now in terms of being creative with meetings in the middle, because meetings is a card about engaging in public or social activity, right? Because there's two people on the card. This is also another connector card, right? So it could just be a matter of, here we are in a forced timeout, break, rest period, that kind of thing, and now we're moving to becoming out in the public, becoming social, engaging with other people. There's two people on the card, right? So again, with Rich Girl in the middle, it may, in one respect, involve a young woman in particular, but I'm thinking it's about how can we move from this to this in a creative way, right? Meetings could be this week about focusing on get-togethers, social activity. Maybe for some people, if you're business-minded, this could be about business meetings, one-to-one sessions, if you provide a service. But this card is about getting back out into the public. But again, I'm seeing this, how can we do that creatively, if I can get the words out. I'm tripping over my words this week. This is an interesting thing. Okay, so let's move on from meetings to this card. And here we have court person. Okay, so court person is the judge card, right? And so meetings is a connector card. It connects rich girl and court person. So here we have creativity, possibly, right? And then this card here can represent a judge. So this could be, I would say, it's about using creativity and one's judgment, right? If you're going to focus on getting back out into the world, so to speak, or engaging in public activity or being out in public spaces and places and engaging with other people socially, it's about doing it the right way, quote unquote, the right way. But I see this as using one's judgment, right? Now, this could also be playing with the judge. It could be about people who are in positions to make decisions that may be connected to the public, right? And again, if that's the case, how can they employ creative solutions to this particular challenge or problem, right? But again, I'm seeing court person as saying, use your judgment, use your discernment when engaging in social activity or being out in public, right? Now, court person can also be a card that talks about advice or going through a process that is necessary. So it could just be about people who are in positions to offer advice about how to do this in the best way for everyone involved, right? And I'm coming back to the middle card that has more than one person on it, right? And that's what a court person does. A court person makes a decision that he or she believes is in the best interest of everyone involved. So I'm seeing that. So it could just be undergoing a process that is necessary to support this. So now let's take a look at the last card rounding out the line this week. And here we have unexpected money. So remember now, this card showed up in last week's reading as unexpected income. So here we have improvement, right? And so the decision is being made with the idea that there's going to be some kind of improvement, right? At the end, right? This is the last card at the end. So all the decisions that are going to be made this week in regards to social activity and being out in public are designed to have some improvement at the end. The end result is about wanting to improve a situation, right? Now, the word unexpected could also imply that there may be something regarding a decision due to something unexpected. Remember now, court person is also a connector card. We have a lot of connector cards here this week. There's 3 cards here that are connector cards. And so this could just be talking about the theme of the week is all about connection, and how do we either establish connection or re-establish connection in ways that are healthy, right? And healthy could also imply safe, right? How can we do those creatively? Almost tripped over the word again, creatively, right? But also using our ability to make sound decisions and to use wise judgment and discernment. But again, unexpected money at the end could also be talking about the idea about wanting to improve a situation, right? Now, the other thing that I'm seeing here with court person could be there may be something about a decision regarding a bonus. And again, it would be everything's connected to the first card, right? It goes back to the first card. So this would be about the forced timeout, the break, the rest, the pause button that I talked about earlier, right? As a result of that, it's about a decision being made, maybe having to do with a bonus, and people receiving bonus, especially people who have been out of work. I'm looking at the image and there's a man who's out in the field working, right? And this is coming to mind for me too. I'm looking at this card with what I just said in terms of the visual. As I was talking about it out loud, this came to me. This is about people who work in processing plants. I'm seeing this as processing plants, meat plants, things like that. You know, I'm seeing this maybe having to do with farmers, you know, people who are growing food. I'm just seeing all of that in the imagery. So there may be something about a decision being made regarding that. So that particular field or industry, especially if that industry is going to continue to be experiencing maybe a spike in cases, if I mirror the cards, maybe there's a spike in cases among workers in meat packing industries or meat packing plants. Something of that nature is coming to me, and there may be something about a decision being made around that, right? But aside from that, I'm going to go back to my original statement that this could also be a decision regarding a bonus, something to help improve a situation for workers or people who have been out of work. But it is monetary in nature. So on that note, I will go ahead and end this week's Oracle Outlook reading here. I am James Himm Mitchell, and as I wrap up, I'd like to thank you for sharing space here with me for this week's reading, and I look forward to sharing the same space with you again in our next video reading together. So until then, I am hoping that you are having the best day possible, and I hope that you have the best week possible. Take care.